We'll often need to work with libraries in our TypeScript projects that are still written in JavaScript. And this is going to be a problem because with the way we've got our tsconfig file set up for Create React App, it's always expecting there to be type definitions for the modules that we import. Let's use an example if we were to add styled components to our project here and try and use this module. Let's see what error that we're going to see here. Perfect. So if we just go to our index.tsx file and import styled from styled components, you can see straight away we get an error, and it's telling us that it couldn't find a declaration file for this module here. But it's also suggesting a solution. So try and install @types styled components. So VS Code is smart enough to be able to tell us, hey, there's no types here. Here's where we can go ahead and install the types. And let's actually try and do that. So if we run yarn add type styled components, let's see what happens after everything installs. We jump back now. You can see that error is very quickly resolved. So now we can use styled components, no problem. And if we actually click in to try and view the library, instead of seeing the actual code, what we'll see now is a set of type definitions for the library here, most of which is going to look extremely confusing. It's far more complicated than what we're going to touch on in this course. However, it's important to know that this is here because often when working with third-party libraries, you'll also need to be aware of the different types that they export because you may or may not need to use those in your code. We'll see an example of that in one of the following videos where we install a type definition file for our Pokemon API so that we can get more correct typings when working with it. Now, you may recognize when we installed here this yarn add @types, you might remember that suffix or prefix, from one of the first videos. When we took a look at the package JSON, we've got @types jest, @types node. So what does this @types directive mean? Well, that indicates that it actually comes from the definitely typed repository, which we can go to here. And this is a tremendously large repository. If we click into the types here, it's not even going to be able to load them all because it contains, it's a centralized repo for many, many type definitions file for some of the most popular projects that we use in Node. So just about, I would imagine most NPM packages you're installing probably have their type definition file in here if they're not already written in TypeScript or they don't include one themselves. It's kind of insane to think that much of the TypeScript ecosystem is just supported by this one repository here, but that's how it works. Even React itself keeps their type definition files in there. So just as a refresher, if you are adding TypeScript to an existing project, oftentimes VS Code is going to flag any missing type definition files, and more often than not, you can install them here. Now, in the next video, we're going to cover the case where you may have to create your own type definition file, because of course, it's not always practical to, imagine writing your own type definition file for styled components. That's extremely impractical. But for smaller, less popular libraries, that's definitely an option. So we can take a look at that in the next video.